I'm sexy. It's tough being as good looking as this. Baxter here at Casino Guitars. Special episodes here / episode. But I'm speaking with Principal Master Builder at the Fender Custom Shop, Ron Thorn, about the Apprentice Builder Program, NAMM, all sorts of other fun things, just building guitars and what he likes about building guitars and how he does it. It's pretty cool, pretty awesome little talk we had here. Enjoy. Hope you enjoy these moments. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe. We got more of these coming. Thanks, Ron. Fender Custom Shop. Pleasure talking with you again. Ron Thorn, Fender Custom Shop, Principal Master Builder. Nice to see you.
Likewise, thank you. It's been what, like 2 NAMMs ago, a year and a half ago, I saw you in person, so it's good to see you again.
Yeah, I didn't know if you'd still look the same. You're still a gorgeous young buck, and it's nice to see that. Now the nice
forward to kind.
Yeah, so the niceties aside, let's just get. So can you? I mean, to people out there, we all know you as a Fender Custom Shop Master Builder and a luthier previous to that as well, obviously. But so what is a Principal Master Builder? This is new.
Yes, it's a new role. In addition to building guitars, obviously, you remember the 70s kung fu movies when
yes,
all the students are lined up practicing, and the master, and there's like the master of the flying guillotine, master killer,
of course,
drunken master. They're always masters, right? And he walks up and down, and then they'll kind of pause, and he'll tap their elbow or kick their knee. That's basically me. I walk up and down final, and I'll like straighten a soldering iron or kick the guy's leg out when he's fretting.
Oh God! Are you one of the fake senseis that like just does like energy push? Like, I love those guys.
Exactly. No, so even though it's I'm making a joke of it, it's somewhat realistic in the sense I'll walk around and continuous improvement, they call it. So I'll be looking for ways to improve the product or the method of how to do things, etc. That just kind of comes with the territory. Really, it just kind of comes with being a guitar nerd and just being into all things guitar, is trying to figure out not even necessarily quicker ways. In fact, oftentimes it's not a quicker way of doing something. It just would result in a better end product.
I mean, you say
so
that,
that
like, even that little Gretsch thing you just built, I saw on Instagram, like that had to take a little time just to build a tiny little piece.
We don't have a vendor for stuff like that. So it's great that I can kind of wing it and do little things like that when it's needed. And it's a true one-off. So there isn't, there's some hand engraving. I hand cut it, I bent it, polished it. So there's little things like that. That just happens to be something I'm into also. The other part of the gig is being a representative for the master builders, right? They even though we're considered a hot rod shop and we're somewhat separated from corporate Fender, it's still a business, and it's a big chunk of business. So there needs to be some operational aspect to it, and I'm usually the guy involved in that to represent the master builders. Otherwise,
it's just chaos.
You don't want you don't want the 12 of us in the board meeting, right? So
no, I know
I take the helm and
Todd, and those guys are sort of horrifying. What they just run off like cats.
Exactly, and they're just let them build, let them be craftsmen, let them be artists, and I'll deal with the other side of business.
So you have to do the unfun stuff too, I guess.
Yeah.
But mostly it's fun though, because like, I mean, were you sort of the Fender Custom Shop event we just had? Did you sort of help shape and sculpt that to how it was going to be performed and what was going to be built?
Not necessarily. No, we get an allotment. Each master builder gets an allotment of how many slots we can do, and really we just like the NAMM show. Nobody really knows what we're doing until they show up at the show most times. So it's still like that. Yeah, that hasn't changed at all. We wing it and we build whatever we want for events like that. And that's when we really have some fun and we can stretch out a little bit. And then for the winter event, we do the prestige guitars, which, we
yes,
go all out on those.
Well, I mean, speaking of NAMM, I mean, just a side note, like, what do you think the future of NAMM is going to be? Is Fender going to be at NAMM at Winter NAMM this year?
We're not sure, or at least I haven't heard yay or nay at this point.
Yeah, I hear it's like there's a lot of companies that are definitely up in the air, and some have already said no, and so we don't know if NAMM's, because I know you guys, your orders are through the roof. You've probably never been busier, and just
Yeah.
the world we live in now, so who knows?
The event went well. We got a lot of positive feedback from guys like you saying that it just the interaction with the event, online event, seems to work well. There's definite pluses to it, but we all miss hanging out and seeing one another. That's
the main thing, isn't
part
it?
of it.
It is like I miss my friends that work at Fender, or the guys that are other guitar shops, and yeah, that's we just got to go out and drink and be stupid, and fall down and have too many tacos. That's that's NAMM.
That's pretty much it.
Well, let's get into the apprentice program and
Yeah.
a little bit what that is, because that's something I've always been really interested in. But can you just give us a basic rundown of what the apprentice program is, the Master Builder Apprentice Program?
Sure. Okay. So there's 4 apprentices right now, and I sent you a little bio on
Yes, you
them.
did.
Tony's been here for 22 years, so these are some well-seasoned Fender employees that have worked their way up. Most of them started on the production line and have basically just proven that they've got the chops, and they work hard, and they just like any business, they just work their way to the top. And this is really close to the top right now. So we've got them obviously to help us, and then to groom them into the next generation of master builders. And it's Chris Fleming retired a few months ago.
That's right.
Todd is getting a little long in the tooth.
Wait, what? I have a Todd Krause that's hanging right behind me. I think, where is it? Where is that? The pink
There you
one.
go.
That's a Todd Krause back there.
Todd is great. The guy's been at it since the early 80s.
Let's just jump into Todd for a minute. Like, Todd is so massive as a person, too. People don't realize that. He's so tall, and his hands could like palm your face.
Yep, he's a big boy.
And when he holds
he's a big boy.
But he's you were telling me something about he still uses a pin router, right?
Yeah, he's an old timer. Although he did take some classes in CAD, and he's getting into it, but he really just prefers to do it old school.
Right on.
And great to see. The guy, I honestly believe no human has pin routed more bodies than Todd, ever.
He might be the guy.
40 years of doing it.
How long has he been
in
at
mass
Fender?
production. I'm sorry?
How long has Todd been at Fender? Do you know?
Well, he was at Jackson, Charvel,
Right.
and then here. And then when Jackson came in, I don't know.
Okay, just a long time. That's all we need to say.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump back to the apprentice though. Like, so the main idea is, it seems from what I've noticed, is the shepherding onto the next generation, and obviously assisting. Because the last time I was at Fender was 2 years ago, pre all this mess of COVID, and I remember meeting some of the apprentice builders of that time, sort of working in the stations right outside of the master builders' private offices.
Yep, exactly.
And they were doing some of the fine work, just like helping expedite, and it's not expedite, but just like helping with some, like the one guy was working on, I'm not gonna say who it was. I know who it was because I remember him visually, but it was like he was working on the saddle of just like, of one of the parts of the bridge. It was nuts, like the amount of handwork that went into that.
That's exactly it. They're very talented, and they'll help out with a lot of things like that. And not that obviously we can do it, but installing tuners, like, I don't know if I need to install the tuners on every guitar. There's nothing wrong with my assistant doing it, or one of the guys doing it. That's great. I mean, he's not going to do it any worse than I am, and I can't do it any better than him.
He might actually do it better than you because you're focusing on something else.
Yeah, exactly. So they help out immensely on that. And then it's not just the purpose of these builds isn't just the building of the guitar, because we have complete faith in that, but it's the other aspects of it, the ordering of the parts, the running it through paint, and almost the administrative side of guitar building, the business side of it. We got to get them involved in that, and lead times and selecting wood, and it's everything a master builder would do just before they get the title. Really, that's it. And we have to groom them on those parts of it too.
Well, I think that's a fine point you made, because most people that order these guitars don't really think about that aspect of what all of you have to do. As far I know you have a personal wood selection that you kind of keep hoarded away and you pull out for special pieces. And
Yep.
and I think I just ordered one from you for the shop of one of your new California specials, because I was like,
Thank you.
I want a radical one, because I like it. I like weird new stuff, and yeah, I've got a lot of
Well,
strats.
well, like you said, picking wood, they may not have a lot of exposure to that without this program involved. And this is where we'll just start at the tree level and discuss cell structures and grain orientation and types of cut. We'll get right into it. And what I look for when I select a neck blank, and just shadow me and watch, and maybe next time you can either follow that or at least be thinking about it and considering it when you go to select something. So there's a lot of initial before building the guitar, and then obviously during, and the planning and scheduling. And you pretty much said it. You get the point. There's a lot more than just.
No, but it's nice because a lot of people
parts.
don't get the point, and I think it's nice. It's good that you said that. And I mean, on a side note, like, you just said something I think is not part of what we're talking about, but like, what do you look for when you're selecting a neck blank? Is there something, an overriding?
There's lots of factors. Depends on the species, the type of cut that sometimes is called out or it isn't, meaning flat sawn or rift sawn or quarter sawn. The weight is a factor, the density of the grain, the amount of run out, so how much it's the grain and how it's cut. I mean, there's quite a few factors, and have them in my head and what it is that I'm looking for, especially Carina. I love Carina, but a lot of people think, lightweight Carina and mahogany, that's excellent for the body. That's not good for a neck. So I will try to pick a heavy, very dense quarter sawn piece of wood for the neck. It kind of goes against what you would think about as far as tone woods, but for softer hardwoods like that, I firmly believe you need a nice, solid, dense piece.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing your little knowledge bits there, because that's perfect.
You know me. I could ramble forever about.
I do know you. You are definitely. You said it earlier in the beginning. Like, you are a guitar nerd, and like, just people listening out there, like, Ron is a guitar nerd, and I accentuate both of those things.
It's ridiculous. I've been doing and in fact, so there's Master Builders Apprentices for Fender, and then there's also a couple for Gretsch and a couple for Jackson. So 4 of them are my students in the first Fender guitar building school that we've been doing here. So I just finished week 22 and I'm preparing the finals. So you talk about getting nerdy. Each class has been 2 hours. One of them was 2 hours on nut slot geometry. You wouldn't think you could talk about a nut slot for 2 hours, yet I took it right to the very end. If there are any questions, okay, get out of here. So I can babble about this minutia forever.
I mean, were the students doing this? Like were they zoning out? I mean, or were they with you the whole time?
Oh, they're right into it. They suck it all up.
So Ron, what did you just call this school?
It went to a few different terms, but now it's just the Fender Guitar Building School.
And this is for people that work at
first
Fender.
Class, first semester. Yes, only Fender employees. The first 4 were Master Builder assistants, just to kind of get things going. I was comfortable with them, and they weren't being taken from production, let's say, because they have to be on the clock while they're working. So the next class, there's a lot. It actually took a lot to get the class going, to get approval for it, because it's training. It's considered training, so it goes under a different cost center, et cetera. But we're figuring out how to have more employees for the next class. And I've been writing the curriculum almost a week prior to, so I create the handouts and I know what I'm going to say and plan. So it's been fairly involved. I had the assistance of 2 other Master Builders on 1 per class. That's great. So next semester, we're going to open it up a little bit more. I have all the paperwork done and the curriculum done, and I'll have some of the other Master Builders teach various courses. Like Paul Waller's fretwork is great, so I'll probably have him do the fret dressing course, and obviously Dale's relicking, so he'll do the seminar on relicking, etc. So this is, again, really And I'm extremely passionate about raising our bench skills. That's what we call it here, is just trying to get not just individuals, but the whole company's chops to a higher level in any department. Just kind of get everybody a little bit better. And then they aspire to move on and move to different departments and cross train and just.
No, I think that's huge. I know a lot of the manufacturers have, even the sales team has to work through the factory floor just to know a little bit of what happens. Like they do that at Taylor, they do that at Summit Martin, and just if you're a sales rep and you're selling guitars to guitar shops, you should still know how to kind of do a net carve a little bit, just the process of it. So when you are selling these, you understand it doesn't go into the Guitar 1000 machine. You press a button and a guitar pops out.
Pops out the other end. Absolutely right. And again, talking guitar nerds, not everybody that works here is a guitar nerd. So they're very content in what they do day in and day out, and that's fine. But some guys are like us, who are just right into it. They sponge, they suck up as much knowledge as they can, and we're trying to provide that for them to further their career here. It's good for everybody.
Well, back to the apprentice building too. So who was how long has the apprentice program been around? Because who are the original apprentices that came up?
Well, Carlos Lopez, he was one for sure, as you know, and Vince, he worked with John Cruz for many years. So those are the two that have been promoted to Master Builders recently. But even Paul Waller, he worked with John English, and Jason Smith worked with John English, and really just kind of filled in for John when he passed.
But the official apprentice program is fairly new.
It's fairly new. We finally decided to let them design. That's another aspect of it, is design the instrument. And I don't just mean a blonde telly, and you look at the ones that they've come up with, they're cool. So that is a factor. You work at Fender, you still have to design a Fender. So that means, no Washburn Wonder bars going on these things and no pointed horns, but to design a Fender instrument that you like and you would want, and you would assume at least one other human is going to want it on the planet. That's a part of being a master builder, and this is what they're learning. And they came out with some great ideas, great concepts,
awesome
themes, visuals, etc. That's just one more aspect of it, is the conception of the instrument.
Well, because when I don't know if I've told you the Vincent story. When I first met Vincent, it was at one of the Fender dealer events when you guys fly us out to Arizona or something. And we were going through the custom shop event, and then I saw this one guitar hanging on the hook all alone. It just got hung up, like Joe just hung it up or somebody. I don't know if Joe actually hangs them himself, but I think he did. But and I was like, whose guitar is that? It was this glorious, it was a glorious Telecaster. And he's like, well, it's this guy named Vincent. He's an apprentice builder. I'm like, well, can you show me Vincent? He's like, yeah. So he brought Vincent over to me, and Vincent showed me his cell phone. He put up some pictures of other guitars, and I was like, I'll take them all. He's like, what do you mean?
Wow.
I was like, send it, just don't even. He's like, well, these aren't here. I'm like, I'll take every one of them, because this was.
Oh, that's cool.
And I can't believe they were so good. We sold them immediately for an outrageously low price. I feel like, because now at Vincent's about a 4.5 year waiting list, and the guitars are expensive. A custom shop guitar is not an affordable, easy guitar to get into. But Vincent's pieces immediately. That's when I knew the apprentice thing was a real thing. Like these
Excellent.
guys, and Carlos had just been made. I think Carlos was made first, right?
Yes.
A Master Builder. I think that was the year he was that was his coming out party as Master Builder. And,
wow. And then, that's great.
But yeah, so I fell in love with those two guys, and I just ordered 5 more Carloses, and we just did one literally 10 minutes right before we started this interview with the Carlos.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. You're keeping us extremely busy. We're very appreciative.
We just make our guitars faster and better. That's all we want, just faster and better. Don't keep it slow. I want it to be good.
All right.
We want them good. Just keep it. They're all great.
We're all hustling. We're all working hard for it. And,
no, keep it because they're coming out great. They're getting better too. We've noticed, which we're psyched about. What is what is the process as far as you sort of explained it, for an apprentice builder to become a master builder?
Well, one of my first things when I got here was writing job descriptions for all 4 stages, which means for the apprentice, the master builder, a senior master builder, and a principal master builder. That didn't exist. So I sat down and typed everything up. And there's, I tried to structure it to some degree so that, hey, you got to be able to do this proficiently. You have to be able to do that. Then they know where their weak points are. And I would do a skill matrix each year and go through them and say, hey, how's your binding? How's your fretwork, et cetera, and kind of rate them. And then they would see where they need improvement. So it isn't really a snatch the, why do I keep going back to Kung Fu movies? It's not a snatch the pebble and he's good to go. One, all of us have to agree it's time. And there's a demand for it. And they're getting close. They're getting close. At least a couple of them are. So
there's a few guys that their pieces were awesome that they've done recently. Like I won't get into names because I want to play favorites, but I'll say Levi's were really good too, though.
Yeah, Levi is good, and he's one of the students in the class, and he's going to go far for sure. All four of them will, but Levi, he's got it going on, and he is as much a nerd as any of us are. So it's he's a good candidate.
Do the apprentice builders come from like the team building part of the custom shop? Or do you
Yeah, the majority of them started in production line and worked their way. And as of right now, two of them, Nick and Levi, they both went through the service returns department for a couple of years.
That's right.
And talk about a way to kind of hone your chops on guitar building is fixing things, either mistakes or what has gone wrong. Like you can learn a lot by other people's mistakes. And this is not just at Fender, but in the guitar building industry, a lot of guys started off as repairmen because you can really get good at certain things by being a repairman when it comes to building guitars. And so two of them have come through that. And I actually really try to promote people to get into that position because you can learn a lot in the service returns. You see it all.
Is there so once you feel confident with these guys' skills and you feel there's a need for another master builder, is there a board, or do the master builders decide together, then you take it up to corporate?
Yeah, exactly that. The master builders will decide together, and we've discussed it. Every few months we discuss it. And then we'll kind of just send an email, say it's time.
It's time. Is there hazing? Do you prank them on their way up?
Well,
you got to prank them a little bit. That's the fun of having a place you work with a bunch of guys. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some shenanigans going on. We filled one guy's cubicle full of balloons once when he came back, and there's 6 feet of balloons. Yeah, we try to have some fun, but there are cameras around too, so we got to keep it.
Well, speaking of guys, I sort of did as a joke, but are there any female apprentice builders in the queue coming up maybe?
Chelsea, who is a master builder assistant upstairs, and Gretch, and
yes,
she's our first female, and she's got her sights set to be a master builder. Whether or not it's for Gretch or for Fender,
pull her to Fender. Bring her over.
She wants to come to Fender, but she's so good. She comes from the repair world, and so she's really good at binding and scraping binding and set necks and.
So she's good with Gretches.
Yes, she's perfect in Gretsch. It's utilizing her skills much better than they would at Fender for now. But she's also one of the other 4 students in my first class. So you're pulling out all the names.
Okay, I've done a little bit of research.
There you go.
Not too much. We're not that prepared. We just kind of wing it here. This is what we do. Kind of like your office setup, how we all do that.
Yeah.
What's the pricing structure for an apprentice build? Is it the same as a master build?
No, it's definitely less than a master build, unless it's so crazy. It may exceed a standard master build, let's say. But typically it's priced between team build and master build so far, what I've seen. And we haven't opened up the books. You can't, at this point, you can't order one right now. So we're kind of keeping it close, because they also have jobs to do. They're helping us. So that's kind of job one. So we don't want them to have a ton of orders and then suddenly what about my tuners? So what we've allowed them to do is to design for these events, design one guitar for the event, and then they can take reorders on them. So that kind of throttles it.
And that was the hack. That was the hack we figured out for a few customers, because we did that with the last event. and then you can do a few modifications, maybe a couple, and then then people were thrilled because we did. Was it Nick or Levi's? It was the three-tone sunburst telly with the flame neck. Not this last event, but it was a beautiful three-tone sunburst sparkle. It was Nick's.
Yeah,
I think we did. That thing was spectacular, and that neck.
Yeah, it was super cool.
I mean, just beautiful guitar. And then, so what comes with an apprentice build? Because we know it comes with a team build. We know it comes with a master build. Is there a special stamp?
Yeah, the back of the headstock has the Custom Shop logo, and it says Master Builder Apprentice. We felt that was a cooler name than Master Builder Assistant, but essentially it's the same role. That they're interchangeable. But as far as apprentice goes, could that be taken one way or another? I'm not sure. We kind of flip-flopped on it, but
I can't really. How do you take it there? It's like Padawan. That's what I would have chosen. It's like I still would like Obi-Wan to build my guitar versus Qui-Gon. I think he's the one who lives longer. He's better. Nick might be better than you. It's like.
And there's other industries, right? There's journeymen, like in the plumbing field. I mean, there's all sorts of categories until you get to the point of being, top dog. But
I can't really think of another name. What would it be? Assistant doesn't work. That sounds silly.
No.
It
so
sounds like
apprentice,
you work in an
definitely
office.
applies. And like we said, these guys they've been around for a long time. They've been here many, many years. Tony, 22 years. And
he's older than some of the guys that work with me. Like his time at Fender is older than the people that work with me.
Exactly. So these aren't fresh off the street employees that we've stuck in these positions. These guys have paid their dues, and they're getting up there. And this is one way that we're facilitating them the next step in their careers. That's it.
That's awesome. I mean, I think I'm excited about it. That's how I discovered Vincent, and we've been like a Vincent cheerleader, and that's how I discovered Carlos, because we would have some of our customers meet us at NAMM, and they all fell in love with the Carlos apprentice builds 3 or 4 years ago. And they're just sitting over there in the corner, no one's paying attention to them. Like, what's that guitar over there? Like, it's because you got Dale's, you got Ron's, you got everybody, you got Todd's and John's and Jason's and everybody's, and they're like, who's this Carlos dude? Oh, just now you got to wait for it. And
yeah, exactly. And look at what he's doing. He's killing it. And this is, talk about the next generation of builders. I mean, Carlos and Kyle and Vince, they're all giving us a run for the money. And it's great to see. I love seeing young guys killing it this early in their career.
Well, I mean, like you're more of a. I'm not gonna call you an old guy because you're probably about my age, so I don't want to make myself feel old. But your Instagram game is really on point too, though, because the young guys are usually the ones who just sort of run it. But you do a really good Instagram thing. You let people know what you're building. You're very interactive with it. Vincent's very interactive. Carlos is very interactive. Some of the other guys are not.
Right.
And Dale just doesn't. He doesn't have time to do it. I know. He used to be like the Instagram king, and he's like, I don't have time.
He doesn't have time. He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it.
Quite honestly, he doesn't want the publicity.
I don't do any Instagram. Someone else at the shop has taken over that for me. I can't handle it. It's just.
There you go.
It's too much for me. I'll talk to you and the guys, and every once in a while they pull me on to talk questions that ask to Baxter, but I can't handle it. It's too much. And this I don't like this thing.
Yeah. It can get away from you. I enjoy it. Actually, Waller and I, we have a little friendly competition because we will surpass one another occasionally on followers. So,
but you and who?
That's why I keep doing it. Paul Waller.
Okay, cool.
And yeah.
That's funny. Little battle.
Yeah, we're neck and neck. I think he's in the lead right now, but I had him a couple weeks ago. So we just, it depends on what we post. Sometimes he'll post, especially with the Rockies.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
Yeah, he's got, I mean, not that I'm jealous or anything, but we're talking Jimmy Page, the Beatles. He's got some pretty good gigs. Not that the Game of Thrones aren't cool, but
yeah, well, I mean, but no, I'll tell you how to beat. I'll tell you how to beat them. I'll tell you how to beat them. You need to get Baby Yoda, and then you mix that with your leather tooling, and you give Baby Yoda a leather outfit somehow with you. Anything with Baby Yoda gets more hits, and all your leather work. And you should wear leather chaps more. Please wear jeans underneath it, though. I don't need to see the assless.
Let me write this down. Let me make some notes here.
This is why I'm a master at marketing.
Brilliant. Well, any tips, let me know or forward me.
No, you're doing well. But no, seriously, Ron, I appreciate the time you took just to come in here and have a chat with me. and we're gonna have fun with this. And I invite anyone that's watched this just to ask questions on the YouTube as well, and then Ron will be chiming in there, maybe answering some. I'll be answering a bunch.
Sure.
If you see something that's directed to Ron, like, hey, maybe Ron will see it. Ron's busy though.
Yeah. Everybody has to take a break sometime. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that anybody would question about the Master Builder Apprentice Program. I'm trying to, because it's, as you know, it's new. It's only 6-7 months going, and there's only a handful of guitars at this point. I think less than a dozen in total. So I'm just trying to think of any questions that may come up that we could try to
Well, I think
answer
what's going to come up is people are going to want to know when they can order them and the pricing on it. I know that's not worked out yet, but as much as you can answer on, like, when you're going to open the books to some of that beyond just the...
I am not sure if we are going to do that.
Okay.
We may just hold that until they become official master builders.
Ron, you are going to open the books. It almost worked. We're getting really deep Star Wars nerdy. I'm sorry, I've had too many Star Wars references.
Kung Fu and Star Wars, it seems like what this is all about here.
And I was watching the Quentin Tarantino interview last night too, so he was talking about all the vintage Kung Fu, so I was deep into that when you started. That's what brought me up laughing.
Oh, right on. That's great.
Like any of that, I love that stuff. I'm a big Quentin movie fan, so any of that junk. Kill Bill is hilarious to me.
Kill Bill is the best. My favorite of all of his, for sure.
I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Killer,
that was
too.
He was. I love the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That really touched me in a strange way. I didn't think it would. I love that movie too.
I liked his watch. I like Brad Pitt watching that.
Anything Brad Pitt does just is perfect. So it infuriates me. He's perfect. World War Z, he's running from zombies, and he looks amazing at every. You're kind of like the Wish version of Brad Pitt with your long hair. There's Brad, and then Ron shows up, and you're like,
oh man, this is getting weird.
That's not quite Brad, but it's close. Maybe. No, but seriously, if anything comes up, like, I think we've had fun. Like, if you want to ever do this again, like, we could have like a thing, not every week. That's too much time on your hand. And you don't want to talk to Baxter, but ask Ron. Like, Ron's got a lot of questions. I'll ask our viewers, and Ron's got a lot of answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for anything, no doubt. I tried to get, we called it a custom shop back talk. Paul and I tried to pull it off, just having like a chit chat, between two ferns type of show.
Oh, please.
We didn't know what we were doing. We couldn't pull it off. Between editing and...
That's what I'm here for. And I'll make it happen. I want to get deep into Carlos's headwear. His hats are on point. Vincent's got like that great sort of like bass throwdowns. Todd is just the monster basketball player, I think, behind the scenes. There's all sorts of stuff people want to know about you guys.
Oh, that's good. Well, we're up for it, and we enjoy it. And I don't know, it's fun to do. It's fun to talk guitars with guys like you. It's a blast. And if other people dig it, then there's no harm or foul at all. Yeah. We're into it.
It's guitars. We're having fun. It's the best thing. It's the best industry to work in. I have fun every day. I never have to go to work. It's just going to fun, is what I call it. So no doubt. And Ron, I
don't think I've used the term "I'm going to work" in years.
Isn't that funny? Just going to have fun. Yeah. We want to go hang out with the guys, and we're going to talk about guitars and talk to cool people that want to buy guitars, and then play cool guitars and demo them and take them apart. It's awesome. Yeah. Like, seriously,
it is awesome.
Hey Ron, thanks for your time this morning, and I appreciate it. We're psyched to see. I got some builds coming your way too, so you better make me some beautiful ones.
You got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll see you next time.